Interesting enough, I saw an infomercial with a fellow that we know, well, two fellows that we know. Kevin Trudeau is, I think he's kind of back in the infomercial business because he apparently had some type of falling out with his partner. And he's back into it, and he has a show out now called Mega Reading. Anybody seen it? Huh? Has another fellow that we know who ordered our course from TV, and a real nice guy, his name is Howard Berg. And Howard is the world's fastest reader. And right now I want to bring up to you that aside from making the solution immediate, you want to make it easy. Very, very easy. As I say, people don't want to do any heavy lifting. Howard gets on the show, and there's a great visual on the show. Kevin, towards the end of the show, takes all these best-selling books, and he starts to pile them up on his desk. And it's an incredible pictorial image. And, I mean, he's got bestsellers. Of course, he's got his book out, and the books are piling up. And Howard Berg says you can easily triple your speed, your ability to read faster within 1 hour. And it's easy because anybody can do it. And Kevin has this pictorial of, you know, the books are falling off the desk, and he's got them all over the place. And he looks at Howard, he says, how long would it take somebody to go through these books once they go through your system? He says, well, you know, normally it would take you 3 or 4 months to go through all those books, but with my program, it's going to take you a week, week and a half. I mean, that's a neat thing. So all of a sudden, he's got this instant solution. It's very, very easy. He's appealing to a wide market. He's giving them reasons to buy. And then he has this pictorial of all these books. And I guarantee you that Kevin Trudeau was probably selling that product. I didn't call in. He's probably selling it for $149.95 and has a downsell to $79.95 or $69.95. And is selling it like crazy because he's one of the best live salesmen there is. But the point is he makes it easy. In 1 hour, how many people can invest an hour to triple their ability to read? Right? Tons of you can. Okay? Everybody knows that they can spend an hour if they want to get that type of benefit. It's an instant, easy solution. It's not hard work. I'll give you another great example. How many people have ever seen Jim Palmer on TV trying to loan you money? Jim woke up one day and said, I'm tired of being photographed with my underwear on. I'll just try to loan money from now on. But you know, he's there. What's the commercial? What product, what company is it for? Does anybody know? The money store. Sure, you've all seen it before. And interestingly enough, one of the things that they've done is, I think their 800 number, a dedicated number is 1-800-LOAN-YES, right? I think it is. I need the memory course. But it's let me give you an 800 number for that. But it's very, very simple offer because what he's done is how many people like to fill out applications? No one. It's not any fun to fill out an application. I mean, it's questions, it's work, it's paperwork. You know, we all have a natural propensity not to do that type of clerical work. It's just, you know, it's work. It's detail work. And takes time. So what's the selling proposition of the commercial? You know, a good sales presentation in print, magazine, radio, television, in person, always eliminates objections prior to asking for the order. So he goes out and says, hey, it's easy now. All you've got to do is pick up the phone, and we can take your information over the phone. We don't have to send you an application. We can take it to you over the phone. And then he also tells you, if somebody wants money, when do they want it? In 3 weeks? Heck no, they want it in 48 hours. They want it instantly. So what's he also tell you? Most applications are going to get processed in 2 to 3 days. Bingo. So he's taken out the objections. He's made it easy. When you can make the ease of the opportunity and availing yourself of the opportunity very, very simple for the viewer, reader, or listener, it makes life so much easier in making a successful offer. Make it easy. The other thing that you want to do is ask yourself, what are your costs? So you can get an opportunity of realizing what your potential profit is. And you also want to determine how much you're willing to spend on advertising versus the total monies that you bring in. Remember the example that Mark gave. If you have a $100 product and you sketch out what your costs are going to be. You know, you get a cost of product, a cost of fulfillment, a cost of capturing the order, a cost of processing the order. And your biggest cost is usually going to be advertising. So you want to sit there and realize, what can I afford to spend per order? Why do you want to do that? Anybody have an idea? Why do you want to realize what your allowable cost to make an offer is prior to beginning marketing? Anyone have a guess? What was that? That's a simple answer. If the cost of the order is too high, you won't make any money at all. But if you don't know where your profitability point is before you start, you won't know if you're going to make any money at all until you lose it all. I mean, you know, humorous, but it's very true. If you know what your cost per order is, and you know what your allowable cost to get an order should be, when you start to test, and test one variable versus another variable, only testing one thing at a time, you're going to determine what your results of testing are bringing back as far as increased profits by your cost per order. Why? Because usually the only variable cost, the cost that fluctuates in direct marketing, is your cost for advertising. Your product cost is going to be relatively stable or go down by ordering more. Your cost of ordering is usually going to be fixed to each order. Your cost of processing is going to be very, very stable. So those elements are stable. The one that's fluctuating is your advertising cost. Well, if you don't sit down and determine what your advertising cost should be prior to getting started, then you don't know where you are. It's like going out in a boat, sailing across the ocean without a compass. You know, you're going to be surprised when you get someplace. I mean, really, that's exactly what it is when you sit down and forecast, where do I need to be? It's like making out a map and determining, for me to get from here to profits, I need to do this. And I need to analyze my cost per order. It's extremely important for you to realize, what can I afford to spend on advertising? That's another frustration that people have, is they wake up and they haven't set the bar. And they'll often go out, because they don't track their advertising efforts, they'll often go out not necessarily having any plan in mind as far as what they can afford to spend for each order. And then they'll turn around and re-up advertising that doesn't work. I want to summarize quickly with all these, because they're very, very important points. You want to look for markets. Markets that already exist. You want to look for margins. You want to make the solution immediate. You want to make it easy. And you want to solve problems rather than prevent problems. The next time you evaluate a product, service, or information, give it that litmus test. Look at all 5 elements. If one of them isn't existing, you have a potential problem with that product. Once again, with Spiller Anderson's product, he realized that he didn't have enough margin because of the cost of his product. He did a couple of things. He kept on price testing. He tested guarantees versus no guarantee. But he realized his advertising costs had to be lower. And half the media sources work, and half of them don't work. If you have 1 out of 5 of them work, you should be doing cartwheels, because you're rich. All you got to do is keep on testing and not overexpose yourself to risk. I mean, if you find 1 out of 5 newspapers, magazines, radio stations, TV stations, whatever advertising medium you're using or combination thereof that work, you're wealthy. Because all you got to do is just find more that work, or renegotiate the ad rates on the ones that don't work. But you've got to pick a target. And that's why it's helpful. The illustration that Mark gave, despite the fact that some people on the left of the room had some difficulty in seeing it, was very simple, and it's right in the course that we offer from television, but it's illuminated here, is if you go line by each item and start to look at that before you ever begin, you know where you need to be to end up with a profit. Does this make any sense to you? Does it help? Does it help to open up the fact that this isn't that hard? If you go through consistent steps, and these 5 steps are really the basis and the foundation. We've taken a year really to think about making this much more succinct and understandable for people so that they can look and evaluate. But if you use these 5 methods and these 5 items as a checkpoint to determine where you stand before you make an offer and before you decide whether you want that product, service, or information as something you want to be a part of, you're going to save yourself a lot of anguish. Knowing that there's also some counterparts to this, just like the Spiller-Anderson story, is that if my product cost is too high before I'm able to buy 100,000 units of this product and tool it and manufacture it, I need to make sure that my advertising cost is much lower than a normal 30 or 35% of the product cost, which was brilliant. He realized it's not going to work if I have a high ad cost. I won't make any money, because he's really, in many cases, just making a one-time sale. Next thing I want to do at this point is go over what works and what doesn't, and how to make a product work. This is the only business where you can screw up 9 times out of 10 and still make a lot of money. It is. I mean, think about it. This is a business where if you reduce your risk and you do what we've gone over this morning and you're persistent, you're going to make money. And the points that we're about to go over, and this is what I promised you as we began, we're going to consistently tell you and teach you when it doesn't work, what do you do? Because that's the key frustration that I've seen a lot of people have. They know it's working for other people, but it's not working for them, and they don't know why, and more importantly, they don't know what to do. Ever seen a television commercial, 800 numbers up for 2 seconds? Done by some group of morons in an ad agency that have dissipated the capital of the advertiser, and they have an 800 number up for 2 seconds because they didn't want to hurt the art continuity of that ad. You know? No, it's appalling. One of the things that I have found, and you're going to notice this also, there's a reason why you put tag screens in a direct response ad on television. There's a reason why you give the 800 number out 5 to 7 times in a 60-second radio ad. But what a tag screen does in television, just to illustrate this point, is it stops the viewer and says, okay, we're now at the ordering process. The reason we do a squeeze screen with our product is we want people to see it's now time to order. They've been conditioned. Years ago when I was a kid, back when infomercials, prior to them being taken off the air, I remember as a little kid watching infomercials, and I watched a guy selling pot, and I used to watch him every Saturday morning. And I watched this guy selling pots and pans in black and white television, but you certainly knew he told you exactly when to order. And the point is in the ordering process, you need to let people know it's now time to order, but you need to walk them through the ordering process step by step. You need to tell them specifically what to do. You don't need to leave any guesswork there. Go to the phone, pick up the phone, call this 800 number, and when you speak to the operator, make sure to ask her for the upsell. Tony's on QVC, and and I'm watching, I'm dying laughing because by now he's got the confidence, amazing confidence level. It's about 5:30 in the afternoon, and he said, and make sure that you ask for an extra one. I mean, he's pitching the upsell. That's how confident he was. He's pitching why you need to buy a second or a third one, and then he gives you illustrations, pictorial illustrations of gifts. And then he brings one out for your birthday and for Christmas and, for that. And he's showing you in the gift box, okay, here, it's going to work for that. And so he's pitching the upsell right there. But the point is, he's telling them exactly what to do. And in a lot of ads that you see that are from people that are spending a lot of money, you don't know exactly what to do to order. And the other thing that I've seen is an 800 number up with no call to action. Doesn't even tell you should do something. It's just up there, and it's kind of, you kind of wonder. I don't know, why is that up there? Should I call it? I don't know why I should call it. It's just sitting there. And you've got this 800 number up, and you don't know what to do. That's a fault of a lot of advertising, whether it's television, radio, print, classified magazines, direct mail. I mean, we had someone one time who did a direct mail piece, and they mailed out 10,000 mail pieces with no phone number. Then they wondered why they didn't get any response. And I looked at the mail piece and I said, well, it's kind of a minor problem here. They're wondering, is it the list? Is it the headline? Is it my guarantee? Is it the price? I said, well, you didn't tell people how to buy it. Oh, okay, I mean, you walk them right through. Here's what you do. There's only so many of these available. You call this 800 number. You have your Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover ready. And when the operator comes on the phone, you give them the credit card, and by the way, you'll probably want to get this bonus, and this bonus, so you have to order by July 7th to get these. And then when you call, ask about this other special offer. You're telling them specifically and chronologically, step by step, what to do. This is a very important part of any offer, is you need to think about being an assistant buyer. You grab the person by the hand, and you take them through the ordering process step by step. And when you're done, they know specifically what they need to do. And hopefully they're physically responding as you're explaining it to them. And that's why you give them an urgent reason to act. And we'll go over that a little bit later. But hi, I'm Nancy at Time Life, and I'm one of the operators here. And it's 3 a.m., the guy's sitting there with a bottle of Colt 45, says, heck, I'd love to talk to Nancy. She's looking pretty good right now. And it's not a 900 number. I'm sure I can talk to her for free. You'll never talk to Nancy, She's not going to talk to you. But they give you that pictorial image of the person you're going to speak. That's brilliant. They have the action. They give you a picture. This is a real nice, friendly person, and, she looks good, and it's 3 a.m., and 800 number. Great, I should call. I had a friend of mine who tried an offer in it was a tennis offer, and tries it in this publication out in California someplace, in Northern California, and he says, well, it goes to 100,000 people. Okay, well, how's it distributed? Is it free or is it paid for? No, it's free. I said, okay, do they print 100,000 or are actually 100,000 picked up? And usually on a free publication is what they print, not what gets picked up. So you always have an intangible. And as a rule, free publications are going to get half the readership from what they tell you. If the circulation is 100,000, you're really going to get 50,000. And that's why if you compare a free publication to one that's paid, often you'll see that the cost to buy the advertising is half the cost per thousand to buy the advertising. And there's a reason, because only half the people are going to read it. But the point is I get a copy of the publication to see if the ad ran. And I look at it, and there's no one else in there that's selling by direct response. And they're wondering, why didn't the ad work? Well, no one was in there that has any results. It's all people that don't track any advertising. And so it wasn't your fault, but someone that's part of the element of the ordering process that you've subcontracted with is blocked out. People can't order. And then you're wondering, why didn't it work? Well, don't get frustrated, because sometimes some of the people that you have to interface with to make the process work, sometimes they didn't work. So this process that we're explaining, by the way, is like a process of elimination. If you follow these steps and go through them, just like how we've begun in giving you a foundation of what you look for successful product, service, or information offers, if you follow these steps, when it doesn't work, it'll help by a process of elimination to hone in on what you have to correct. How many times have you seen, you get a direct mail piece, and you read it and you go, that's nice. And then you put it, wherever you put stuff after you've read it. You say, well, that was really nice. Or you see a magazine ad. You say, oh, that's really nice. But it doesn't get you and compel you to do something. You've got to compel people to act when you're not interfacing with them. The most powerful way to sell, which is also a very inefficient way, but it's the most powerful way, is face-to-face selling. Most people aren't going to multiply their efforts through face-to-face selling because you're vicariously working. I mean, it's just one-on-one. You got to do a lot of one-on-ones, or either you have to sell helicopters or Learjets to make enough money and multiply your income. You have to change the unit of sale. So in order to multiply your efforts, you want to advertise successfully. In order to advertise successfully, you have to compel people. You've got to get them out of their seat. You've got to get them into the ordering process and take them step by step. How do you compel people? That's really important. One of the reasons that people don't act is that they're not compelled by the bonuses that you're giving them or the reason to buy now. So you could have an offer where all the elements are working, but what you now want to adjust is the compelling factors that are forcing people to act immediately. And consider this, if you're curious as to how this works, the next time you watch TV, you turn on the radio, you pick up a magazine, read a newspaper, take all the ads and transcribe them, or take them out of the newspaper or magazine and set them aside on the ones where you said, I got to have this product. Ever seen an offer that's so good you can't refuse it? Even when you're really not in the market. I mean, it's so good you say, geez, you know, I'd be an idiot not to buy this. No, really. It's funny, but it's very, very true. I'm watching the other morning, and they have the Flying Lure infomercial on, and you know, a gazillion of these things have been sold. And you know, I don't really fish. I got a dock and a place to fish. I just don't go out and fish, because if I want to eat fish, I just go and buy some. You know, it's too much work to fishing for me, but a lot of people like to fish. And it's like a $19.95 order price, and there must have been like 75 lures that you get for $19.95. I'm like, you can open a bait store with all this stuff, you know? I mean, you're in the retail business. I mean, you got this suitcase of stuff, and that's how they presented it. And so I'm sitting there, I don't fish, and I'm sitting there going, geez, that's a pretty good deal. You know? But I'm starting to think about it, okay? And the point is that the offer is so good, and it's so juicy, and there's so many bonuses, and they start out and they have a core, and this is how they do this. It's extremely important to pick this up. They build value. Everybody ever seen the Regal infomercial for Regal cookware? Okay? Well, he builds value, and it's just like the guy who sold the Miracle Blade. Builds value in the one core product that was demonstrative of the benefits that you're going to receive that are intrinsic to the offer. Then, after all the value has been built for that one product, and that's a $39.95 product, and then he throws in a second one. You're going, gosh, now it's half price. And then out comes a suitcase of knives. I mean, you know, you get this, and you get the juicer too. That's going to be helpful. And you get all this stuff. But the reason it works is all the value was built in one core product. All the value's already been established. So all this other stuff's free. And you're saying, gosh, if I can combine all this stuff together, you know, I'm taking advantage of them. It's a good deal. And this is the point, and this is what comes back to creating an offer that is so lucrative to the potential purchaser that they can't say no. Because you've built value in the core product equivalent to what you're asking for, and even more if you're successful. And then all these other things, once you've established their value, rather than just telling them. You know, if you just tell people what the value of the bonus is without telling them benefit, it's vacuous. It's not going to help you. But they've established all this value in the core product. They've established values in the bonuses. And now you have a perceived value that's up here and the price is down here. And that's what prompts you to order. This is so important because, as I said a little bit earlier, 9 times out of 10, things don't work. They just don't work. And when you go through this process of elimination, you start to see what you need to adjust. And as you see what you need to adjust, quickly, that particular project that wasn't working, provided that it had the markets and the margins, it solves a common problem, it does it fast and easy, pretty soon, if you get those 5 elements existent, pretty soon as you're making all these little developmental changes as you go along and you're speaking to customers, and you're not only speaking to the ones that didn't buy, you're speaking to the ones that bought. And when you speak to the ones that bought, what do you ask them? Mark knows.
Why did you buy?
Why did you buy? What do you remember? Why did you buy? Why did you take advantage of this offer? What specific benefit prompted you to act? You know, you're always going to keep on refining,
right,
but you want to refine until you're profitable, which gets back to, if you forecast where your profitability is before you start and what your allowable cost to get an order is, then you know that's your goal. The problem is a lot of people abandon a valid effort because they don't know what we just shared with you. They don't know that. They don't know how to step-by-step go through that. And so they abandon. They just say, I don't know what to do. It doesn't work. It works for other people. It doesn't work. It's a bunch of garbage. It doesn't work. Oh, this stuff's a bunch of baloney. It doesn't work. Can't do it. Well, now you know. So where you stop and you start to roll out is where you're profitable. Do you stop refining? Absolutely not. You keep on going. You keep on refining through that process. Because what you'll find is this is the most amazing business in the world, where little changes make big differences. We've changed one word in a headline and gotten 300, 400, 500% increased response. Little changes make big differences. And so you keep on refining, but where you start to increase your marketing is when you now realize, okay, for the people I've spoken to and surveyed and queried about why they bought or why they didn't buy, and in my refinement process, now I'm now profitable. And if you're now profitable, you can start to multiply your advertising. So I hope that answers your question, but that's the process you want to go. So the thing that you want to achieve is profitability. And the only way to achieve profitability is to determine first, where do I need to be profitable? And once you know that, then you start going through these adjustments. I think that what we touched on, one of the quickest ways to start is to find offers that are already working and duplicate them. And what you might want to do is, if you find an offer that's working, this is a little tip that'll make you a lot of money if you follow through with it. If you find an offer that's working, start to look in potential places. Once you know the demographic audience that's most likely to respond to the offer, you look for places where that person's not advertising, that have the right demographics. That's a quick way. You could just take the same type of marketing that you're using, exercise that, make some minor adjustments to it, but you know that if they're advertising, it's working. And they're running in a lot of places. Look for places that are demographically sound for the particular offer. That's a quick shortcut. But the point I want to get into is that you don't want to shortcut this process, because even if something's working, how you refine it is the same process. How you make it better is going through this process. It's a little work, but if you want to make a lot of money, that's the process you go through. Rather than doing a blind survey, and that's coincidentally how a lot of foodstuff type products are launched, as they do surveys to see if people are interested in that type of product. But what you really want to do is see if people are advertising the product. And you want to go through that advertising offer and avail yourself of ordering the product, but you want to look for people that are already out there advertising.